Hello. Okay, video part two. I just did blocks. We don't need any of that anymore. SubD. SubD box. Okay. Oops, you didn't see that. Um, Ben, what's the difference between that box and that box? Nothing, but there is. Um, I'm hitting tab to change between the view modes. So this is SubD, called subdivision. Basically, SubD, if you have the points, so there's these 4 points, right? If you have the 4 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're connected like this, right, as the box, whatever. I mean, it's horrible, but whatever. What SubD does is does math somehow, and it tries to curve between the points. So curve between 1, 2, 3 points, and 1, 2, 3 points. So it curves there. 1, 2, 3 points. So it curves like that, and it curves like that. And what shape is left over is a round shape, right? That's a super basic version of how it does it. Um, but yeah, so this is SubD. I'm hitting tab to change. You can see up here. Okay, SubD, what's it good for? Anything curved, basically. So say you want, I don't know, let's just draw something quickly. Let's say I want a shape like this that curves down, and then it's flat along these base, goes back up. So it's kind of sharp here, and it smooths out into a curve thing, right? Okay, we're going to make that. So here's our original shape, and I'm going to say, there's a million ways you can go around it. I'm going to do it the way that I feel like it. So I'm going to extrude with this guy. We're going to go up. I'm actually going to shrink this a bit. I'm going to go up and bring this down a little bit, and then we're going to extrude again, and then we're going to come over and extrude this guy. Okay, when I hit tab, it looks like this. Actually, I like it more like that. Right? So not really what I drew. Okay? It's curved at the bottom. I don't want it curved at the bottom. That's ugly. Whoa, I didn't know you could do that. Holding Alt and right click and move the mouse. I don't like it, right? So I want it sharp here, sharp here. Actually, I'll draw in red. Sharp here, here, here. But I want it to kind of fade out into curve here, right? So that is what you do with these lines, right? So there's all these lines all along it. And some of them are fine. Like, I like this curve. I like this curve. I'm going to leave it. But I want the bottom flat. And maybe I want the top and top, but I want this curved? I don't know. So I'll just make it into a building. So, okay. Commands that are very helpful are crease. If you go in the SubD tools tab up here, oh, by the way, you have to have Rhino 7 for this. You can't have 6. I don't think it's in 6. You go up to this thing. It's called crease. You click the lines that you want to make creased, which means hard edges. So I'm just going to do the base, right? Nothing happened. Okay, we'll hit tab, and now it's a hard edge. See how it's hard? Or you can do these two. You can do this one, maybe. Ooh, that's ugly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it like that. So if you were making it like a building, you'd probably want all the floors flat. I don't know, something like that. Maybe you want these as well. Do a nice little thing. But remember, we wanted this corner straight as well. So let's make that corner straight. Maybe you make it up straight more. Both of them. Cool. This is turning out really ugly. So I'm just going to move this in a little bit. Maybe it's better. No, it's worse. Whatever. I don't care. Yeah, so that's crease. You can also have the one right next to it called remove crease. It just makes it round again. And you can do all the edges at once if you want to. Okay, so that's that. I'm just going to make a new one. So, super handy for making things. One of my friends asked me, they said, I'm making a bed, and I want to put a blanket on it. So, we're going to do this. Right, so that's ugly. That's disgusting, actually. Well, how do you fix it? Well, we're going to crease it. Crease these edges so it lays flat on the bed at least, right? And then what I would do is just bring it over, bring it down, and bring this over. Okay, That's kind of ugly, actually. I'm going to do it like this. So I'm going to show you a different tool. So right now, this is what it looks like. That does not look like a blanket on a bed, right? That's no blanket I've ever seen. But it's because this corner isn't connected. Well, that's one of the reasons. Blanket isn't the best thing for SubD to do, but that's just what comes to mind. So a very handy tool is bridge, which looks like this. It is right here. So you select faces. Actually, I'll just go along with it the normal way. First set of edges or faces to bridge. So I'm going to pick these faces. Okay. Then I'm going to pick these faces. Okay. And it didn't work. Okay, cool. What? Okay, sometimes this happens. You're supposed to be able to bridge things, but sometimes it doesn't like if they're touching. So I'm going to try this. Just delete the faces and these faces, and I'm just going to select the edges. So you can bridge edges or face. Actually, I'm going to show you what bridging faces looks like so you know. Okay. Bridge. Here to here. Cool. Right, it bridges it. So if you have some complicated, disgusting shape like this, and you want to bridge them, like, oh, I want these to connect. Okay, well, you can. You just select, come on, this, say bridge, select this, hit enter, done. Okay, it's connected. You can select these, shrink them down, make something crazy, right? Oh, something I've been doing, I didn't mention, Control Shift selects is called sub-object selecting. So I can select a face, multiple faces, an edge, multiple edges, or edge and a face, or a point, sometimes called a vertex. And if I click once and then I double click, it tries to continue my selection, right? So if I have this guy and say I extend this a few times, right? I can click this and double click and it'll continue going all the way around the thing, right? If it does. Sometimes it messes up, right? Sometimes everything messes up. But anyway, or you can select one, and then double click and it'll select everything in between them. Oops, double click. What? Okay, maybe it has to be the one next to it. I didn't know that. But yeah, select one next to it, and it'll fill it in, right? So that way I don't get all the ones around it if I just wanted to extend it up. Cool. So that's what I did with this to shrink it in. I just double clicked and I select all around it, and then I hold shift so it goes proportionally, and now I have my wacky shape, right? Okay, so let's continue this. I'm going to bridge that to that, and it'll bridge those edges. You can also add segments, so it adds cuts between it. I usually only ever bridge with one, and you can click crease to make those edges hard, which is what I showed on this. This is the hard edge, remember? Okay, so now when I hit tab, it looks goofy because there's a hole here, right? Every naked edge, that's what that's called, I'm pretty sure, on a SubD object. So let's get a SubD box. If I delete this face, these are all naked edges, it automatically makes them hard edges. You cannot make these soft edges. So if I uncrease it, nothing happens. Just accept that fact. It's just how the math works, right? So, well, what do I do with this? How do I fix this hole? Well, there's multiple ways. You can select all the edges around it. I just Control, Shift, double click, and it selects all those edges. And you can do, where is it? Well, actually, I forget where that thing is. Oh, this thing. Fill SubD hole. You can click that, and you can pick the style. Don't worry about it. Just do auto every time. And it'll fill that hole for me, right? So if I undo it, see how it was? Now, when I fill that hole, it smoothly does everything, right? Or I can select all three of these, or actually select the points, and I can do this cool tool called Stitch, which is here. When I do Stitch, it averages all the points and makes them into one. So it averaged it like that, versus doing it like that. Versus doing it like that. So you can see the difference. So it's different, right? That's because there's 1 point here versus 1, 1, 2 points, right? So 2 points makes this a harder, sharper curve. With 1 point, it makes it a much softer curve. It goes harder down here because there's 2 points here. But if I stitch these points together, it makes it way softer, as you can see. So since I put 2 curves here, it pulls it out more, right? So now if I go into rendered, that looks a lot more like a blanket, right? I mean, it's not good, but it's better than anything you're going to get in normal Rhino stuff, right? So that's SubD. What other tools are there? Stitch, you saw, pulls the points together. Bridge. There's also Loft for SubD. Oh, this one's important. Okay. I guess I'll show that too. Okay, so if you get your SubD box, when you make a SubD box, you can pick the counts. I put them all at 1 so that I have an empty box. You can change them and it'll put lines across it already. Oh, by the way, when you have points on something, you can shift click and delete them. Like this edge, I can just delete this edge, right? If I shift click and delete, it'll delete stuff. So obviously that broke the shape, but I can delete this one and it'll make it like that, right? Okay, so this is adding edges. That's how you delete edges. This is how you add edges with this tool. Insert point. You just click where you want the lines. It is called insert point, but it actually inserts lines. So I don't know why they call it that. But see how crazy that shape is? Before, after. All right. That's because I'm adding a point here, so that makes this sharper. So you see how sharp that is compared to before. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All the curves are generally approximately based on 3 points. 1, 2, 3. So that's a soft curve because they're pretty far apart. If I need to show you this tool as well. Where is it? If I move that point over to this edge, it'll become a little sharper. You can see, a little sharper. Sharper as in like a tighter curve. But that's this tool, slide, mesh, edge, or SubD, edges or vertices. So I'm just going to pick that tool, pick this point, slide it along, or pick this edge and slide it along. It's a little glitchy. Try to stay near the edges when you're doing it. Something I didn't mention is when you do the slide guy, you can pick across or along. So you can also do along or across. So if you select it and it's not going the way you want, try clicking that and it might go the way you want. Anyway, what's left? I showed those. That's just SubD box. Slide. Oh, edge loop. Okay. So when you have a normal box, say you want sharp-ish edges, you can do an edge loop. So you click it and you pick the edges that you want, and then you hit space, and it adds a loop wherever you want it, right? So now there's a loop there, and then I can just shift double click. Shift double click doesn't work on this, by the way, on edges of things. I don't know why, but it just refuses. So you have to manually click all 4 edges. But with this guy, since he's not on an edge, you can just shift or control shift double click, and then you can slide him. Whoa. See what I mean? How it's like crazy? That's not what I wanted. Although that is sick. It's like twisting it. But yeah, I want to slide this. So if I want to add another one, I can slide it along right down to the edge. Oops. Right close to the edge. And get this guy and just slide him over. So this one this guy adds edges, this one moves existing edges. And then when I hit tab, you can see it's sharp-ish, but it's not a hard box like usual. And then if I delete that, it goes back to the soft. And if I really want it hard, then I can put the crease on it, right? But I can also grab it, move it, and you can see it dynamically as you're moving things. So if you want it really sharp but still curved over, you can do it like that. And you can go really close. let's say that close, like that's super close. When you hit tab, you can see it's really sharp here, right? It's basically almost all flat. I accidentally made a bullet apparently. But yeah, so that is SubD. Super handy. What's something I've done in SubD so I can show you? Um, I guess I'll just show you this thing. I think this is the one. Oh, it's a backup. Oopsie. Whatever. It should work. If it'll load. Okay. This guy is SubD. This little roof thing I made. It's, well, not right now, but now it is. I just had a duplicate because reasons. I'm not going to explain it. But yeah, this is a SubD shape that I made. It's just really thin, you can see. But I made every edge hard. So if I hit tab, you can see the real shape. And when I hit tab again, it goes back to the round shape. You can see it's actually nice and curved. And it kind of looks like it's a little sail there, right? So I made all these edges hard. As you can see, that's what it looks like soft, but that's hard. And creased. I should stop saying hard. Anyway, yeah, so if I grab these surfaces and bring it up so it's thicker, you can see what the shape actually looks like, right? But it's just really thin. So it looks like it's a blanket or whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, you can use it in a million different ways. That's just the way that I did it there. And like Zaha buildings would be SubD shapes, I'm sure. You should know who Zaha is. But if you don't, here's some stuff. So I'm sure this was made in SubD or some form. Maybe it's in Revit or something, but I doubt it. But yeah, she makes really cool curvy stuff. And if you ever want to make anything like this, use SubD. It will, maybe not this, but something like this, use SubD. It's such a powerful tool, and there's no point not using it. And I think that's everything I have to share. So yeah, if you have questions, cool. If it's in this video, please don't ask me the question. I've taught 1,000 people this. Well, I guess you can ask me anything. Whatever. You can push your luck. I might punch you. Okay, something I forgot to show you. I was about to upload, and oops. Okay. This is what I used SubD to make. This entire helmet, except these 3 dots, these 3 boxes right here, is all SubD. So it's super powerful. This one was like the thing that I learned SubD on. It took like weeks. But now I do it much faster. So anyway, like you can see back here, it's a total mess. But yeah, I just did it from these images, and you can create anything, really. This guy is also SubD, but a totally different way. Like this guy's using mostly soft curves. And see, I printed it, and it works. I also printed one that was way too big. Anyway, this is the references I used. You can also, this was a waste. I figured out a much easier way of doing things with Grasshopper, which I should make a video on that too. Anyway, yeah, you can make cool stuff. Like, yeah, this is in Rhino. This didn't take that long. It took like 2 days, 3 days, maybe 4, but I don't think so. Anyway, just wanted to show how powerful it is.